Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with a popular request, the Jean Martinon Chicago Symphony box. Now, I don't know if this is still available, but it doesn't really matter. You can find most of it. I'm sure for streaming purposes you can get it. It is marvelous. It contains 10 fabulous CDs, and I'm just going to go through them one by one, and we're going to discuss them. And if you are a Classics Today Insider member, you can read the full-length review in the Insider section and listen to a sound clip, because that's what insiders get to do. And if you're not an Insider member, you should be. You can figure out how to sign up in the description of this very video. Just follow the link or go to ClassicsToday.com and do it that way. One of the reasons I think Martinon is just such a legend as a conductor is because he was himself really a pretty decent composer, a contemporary composer, a student of Albert Roussel, and a master at the entire French repertoire. But he did so many other things besides. And he was a fabulous conductor of contemporary music. He was a lot like Igor Markevich in that respect, a bit like Pierre Boulez, only with more warmth and humanity. And these recordings really had quite a mythological status before they got all boxed up together, finally, endlessly, after lots of pleading by, among other people, me. And we'll talk about that a little more, too. So let's see what's in here, and we can talk a little bit more about Martinon, about his fortes. First, disc 1. Now, some of these are very short discs, I have to say that, but they are original covers. You know, there's the original cover. I mean, if I take them out here, wait a minute, yeah, see, there you go, an original cover. But I'm going by the booklet because the booklet is more authoritative than the original cover, which may contain some things that were not on the original covers. So here we go. First, Ravel, Daphnis and Chloe Suite number 2. Now, of course, Martinon's Debussy and Ravel recordings for Warner are legendary. Absolutely legendary. But the fact of the matter is the ones that he did in Chicago are better played and better recorded, for the most part. But of course, there's much less of them. And the Daphnis and Chloe Suite is supplanted in his complete Ravel and Debussy editions by the full ballet, which is a whole different deal. And then you get Bacchus and Ariane, Suite number 2, by Martinon's mentor, Albert Roussel. And he was a genius conductor of Albert Roussel. Now, of course, you know, it's hard to put on your resume, oh, I'm the world's greatest conductor of Albert Roussel, because who's going to care? Nobody's going to care unless you happen to love Albert Roussel, which I do. And so this performance is a knockout, absolutely essential. So are his other Roussel recordings, of which, unfortunately, he should have done everything the man wrote. But there's a good number of them, you know, still. There's still a good number of them, but they're over on Errato in another box. So we'll have to talk about that at some point. Next, disc 2, Edgard Varése, Arcana. Probably the best recording of Arcana that's ever been made. And the Frank Martin, oh, I love this, Concerto for 7 wind instruments, timpani, percussion, and string orchestra. A fabulous amalgam of jazz, concerto grosso, and quasi-serial modernity. It's an amazing work, like all of Frank Martin's best pieces. It's just fabulous. And with all the wonderful soloists from the Chicago Symphony, you get Donald Peck flute, Ray Still oboe, Clark Brody clarinet, Willard, Elliot bassoon, Dale Clevenger, the amazing Dale Clevenger horn guy, and Adolf Herseth, Bud Herseth, the trumpeter, and Jay Friedman trombone, and Donald Cost timpani, and wow, what a selection of soloists. Famous names all, and a splendiferous performance. Next, on CD3, Nielsen, Symphony number 4, and the Helios Overture. This is unquestionably one of the truly great Nielsen fourths. I talked about it extensively in my Nielsen fourth talk. One of the things that this particular reissue finally got right, and I take full credit for it because I told them to get it right when they were making the box, is you know, all of the movements in this symphony are supposed to be played attacca without break. But in the previous, like, RCA Navigator reissue, the super cheap, crappy sounding, you know, unremastered one, they put in a pause between the slow movement and finale, because that's where the record side break was. And, you know, it was, oh, they just messed it up. Well, they fixed it. And that was because I told them they had to fix it when they did this box. And so thank God they did, and that was wonderful. Next, Bizet, Lilizian Suite number 1 and 2, and then Lalo's Le Roi 10 Overture and the Meditation from Thais, because presumably no one would buy the record unless the Meditation from Thais was not on it. Now, Martinon, one of the linchpins of a master conductor is that they do light music superbly. And these Lilizian suites are unbelievable. He conducts the farandole more excitingly than anyone ever has, truly. And if you are a ClassicsToday.com insider, you can listen to him to the end of the farandole. It's amazing. Absolutely amazing. You know, and there's an even faster one, a more exciting one in his, as an encore in the Chicago Symphony live concerts big box that's no longer around. But you get, it's the same concept. And boy, they're going like demons towards the end. It's so exciting. And I really think, you know, sometimes you can really tell the conductor's ability by listening to something totally fresh and marvelous made out of a very familiar sort of throwaway piece that no one particularly cares about. But he cared about everything. That may have been one of his problems, actually. Next, we get Bartók, the Miraculous Mandarin Suite, and Hindemith's Nobilissima Visione. These are all wonderful performances. I mean, there's no point in saying, oh, this is marvelous, that's marvelous. It's all marvelous. They're great, great performances, among the best ever. And they sound fabulous. They've been wonderfully remastered in this edition, so that's great. Then we get on CD6, Martinon's own Symphony number 4, Altitudes. Now, I happen not to be a tremendous fan of Martinon, the composer, but I recognize, you know, good French music when I hear it. It's kind of like Dudilleux, only not quite as interesting. He's a little dry, I would say, but it's still worth hearing. And who knows? You may like it. You may like it more than I do. I do put it on once in a while, but it's coupled with Peter Menon's Symphony number 7, the Variation Symphony, which is really kind of a masterpiece. It's an absolutely fabulous one-movement piece set up as a series of variations, and it's another legendary performance. Menon is a very, very good composer, and we need to do a little talking about him, but I want to be able to get some good clips and things. I'll have to do some of the Naxos versions and things like that so I can let you hear it. It's very, very good music. American neoclassical, rigorously polyphonic, really sharp and decent music, really good music. Next, we have Weber. Well, you know, you got to have popular stuff somewhere. The 2 clarinet concerti with Benny Goodman. Now, how you feel about these depends on how you feel about Benny Goodman playing classical music. Some people like him, some people don't. I happen to like him. I really do. They're nice, lovely performances. What's not to like, you know? And it's Weber, and it's delicious. And that's that. CD number 8. Oh, we're already there. Another Ravel disc. The Rhapsody Espagnole. Dazzling. The Mother Goose Suite. Here I prefer very marginally the complete ballet on Warner, but this is, you know, he's no slouch in this piece either, just doing the suite. And the introduction at Allegro in its orchestral version, which is simply gorgeous. Such a beautiful work. Then we've got some more Bizet on Cd9, the Symphony in C, which he recorded twice. He did it also for Deutsche Grammophon. But this one's better. I mean, the playing is just better. The performances are virtually identical, and it's clearly one of the great Bizet symphonies in C. Totally fabulous. He doesn't take repeats, of course, because in those days nobody took repeats. I kind of like the repeats just because I love the music so much. But it's a really snazzy, wonderful, wonderfully pinpointed, nicely detailed performance with welcome attention to the wind section in the tutis. I love it. Love it. Then Mendelssohn, Midsummer Night's Dream, short suite. You get the Overture, a really dazzling performance of the Overture, the Scherzo, the Nocturne, and the Wedding March. That's, your sort of standard Mendelssohn fare. And it's very Mendelssohnian, which is excellent. And then finally on CD10, there's this sort of very interesting thing here. Let me see something here. There was something else. I think I missed something. Did I miss something? I don't know. Maybe not. Okay. On CD10, hang on. Here we go. These were not officially RCA released recordings, but they're quite cool. Some of them are with Chicago. Some of them are with the French, orchestra of ORTF, French radio and television thing. You get the Casadei Concerto for Piano and Orchestra No. 2, which is a fine work, delightful, played by Robert Casadei, the Paganini Moto Perpetuo, and some more Ravel, the Pavane for a Dead Princess, La Valse, and Bolero. Now, those are all with Chicago, I believe. Yes, they are, which is super duper cool. And I just need to check one other thing here, because I was of the impression that there was something else in here, and maybe I've forgotten it. No, nope, got it all. That basically does it. Wow, it feels like it's not enough. It really does, but it is all absolutely fabulous, amazing stuff. Now we need to talk a little bit, just a little bit, about Martinon's career in Chicago, because his career in Chicago was a little bit rough. He didn't last there very long. He did not actually have a warm and snuggly relationship with the orchestra. I'm just going through this one more time. I think the reason was because he was apparently a difficult person to get along with. He was rather apparently sarcastic and snide to the musicians, who were prepared to put up with it from Reiner, but not from Martinon. The critics didn't especially like him. But, these careers are all local. They really, truly are. And the issue is, were people, what did he operate like locally? What were his programs like? What did he do to appeal to audiences in Chicago? And that was really the issue, I think, with him. It really was. And I think he was much happier back in France, where he could conduct a radio orchestra that could do all kinds of contemporary music and all kinds of unusual repertoire and all the stuff that interested him. He didn't have to do, stuff that was going to be crowd-pleasing and popular. And there are a lot of conductors like that there. So that's why God made radio orchestras in Europe. And thank goodness he went back, because boy, did he do great stuff back in France too. It would have been nice if he'd stayed in Chicago. It would have been nice if he'd made more recordings in Chicago. There's a Mahler 3, for example, in that live Chicago box that's fabulous. He was an amazing, amazing conductor. He did virtually everything he touched well. But the question is, just what did he touch? So we are very lucky to have this 10-disc set. I'm thrilled with it. I hope that you can find it. And if you haven't, download it or stream it or do something. There's some performances that you just have to hear. You've got to hear the Varése. You've got to hear the Bartók. You've got to hear the Hindemith. You've got to hear the Frank Martin. You've got to hear Roussel. You've got to be Nielsen. It's just so bloody great. And that's the story of the Martinon Chicago box. I do hope that you're an insider subscriber and you can go listen to some of it and read that review also. It goes through all the same stuff, but it's I hope fun to read too, as well as listen to. So keep on listening, folks. Thank you so much for joining me. Take care.